Dr. Lena Farrow stepped carefully through the crowded market of the Aurora Nexus, her senses alive with the mingled scents of alien spices and the sharp tang of ionized air. She moved from stall to stall, pausing to study silk-like petals that glowed with soft blue light, to examine vials of pearlescent fluid that pulsed in time with the vendor's heartbeat. Each sample she collected would help her understand the strange flora sprouting in Elar's farthest moons. Yet even as she cataloged data with precise calm, an unfamiliar flutter stirred in her chest. She could not know it yet, but the moment she glimpsed a tall figure cloaked in violet was the moment her world would change forever. Above her, glass ceilings arched in sweeping curves, filtering pale sunlight into gentle rays that danced across polished walkways. Shoppers of every species flowed like tributaries of a great river, converging in the heart of the market. Lena paused at a stall displaying crystallized minerals, whose prisms split light into rainbows. She reached out to touch one, and the vendor offered a small smile, one universal gesture of welcome. Lena responded with a nod, her mind already shifting to her next task, testing how these minerals could stabilize hybrid cellular growth. She was proud of her work and the careful dedication that had led her halfway across the galaxy. Yet even as she made notes, the crowd parted before her. She sensed it before she saw it, a presence so regal it seemed to still the very air. Lena turned slowly, and there he stood, Crown Prince Arian of the Alari Imperium. His tall frame was draped in robes that shimmered like starlight, and his eyes, a deep indigo, seemed to glow with gentle authority. Around him, guards fell silent, and merchants bowed their heads in respect. Lena felt her breath catch. She had heard whispers of Arian's compassion and wisdom, but to see him in person was to witness grace in motion. Arian's gaze met hers, and for a heartbeat the market faded into a blur. In that instant, Lena felt something raw and undeniable. The man before her bore no judgment, only a curious warmth. He stepped forward, gliding across the polished floor as though guided by an unseen current. Lena straightened, her heart thudding. In her chest, she reminded herself to remain composed. After all, she was a renowned scientist, accustomed to unexpected discoveries. But nothing in her experience could have prepared her for this moment. When Arian reached her, he bowed his head in a gesture both formal and intimate. Muttering words she did not understand, he placed a single hand over her abdomen, her own. A soft curve of new life. Lena's pulse leaped. She remembered how she had concealed her pregnancy, fearing skepticism from both human colleagues and alien authorities. Yet here was the future king of Alara Prime, acknowledging her child as though it were his own promise to the galaxy, in a voice that carried the gentle resonance of distant chimes. Arian spoke in the common tongue. "Dr. Farrow, I once believed duty and love could never share a path. Now I see they walk together." Lena's eyes widened, tears unbidden gathered at the corners. She gently placed her hand atop his, feeling the warmth of his skin, the echo of his vow. Around them, the market resumed its hum, but Lena felt as if she were floating above it, tethered only by the touch of Arian's promise. He rose, offering her a slow, sincere smile. "I have traveled the stars to find you," he continued, "and now I stand before you to honor both of our worlds." His words were simple, yet they carried the weight of a galaxy at peace. Lena's heart soared. She had always believed her greatest work lay in understanding alien life and decoding genetic codes and stabilizing ecosystems. But here, in the crowded market under pale sunlight and beneath a sky of steel and glass, she discovered a truth more profound. Love could bridge species, unite cultures, and shape the course of history. Lena extended his hand. Lena felt every hesitation dissolve. She placed her palm in his, the gentle pressure sealing their shared destiny. In that quiet moment of recognition, the bustling market became a celebration of hope. And though she did not know the trials ahead, she knew the journey would be rich with wonder. Guided by the trust they had forged in the simplest of gestures, a promise, a touch, and a future carried within her. Lena stepped off the crystalline airship onto the pearlescent plaza of Alara Prime and stopped to take it all in. Towering spires curled into the lavender sky, their surfaces shifting like living water. Soft laughter echoed from open gardens where blossoms of violet and silver floated on gentle breezes. Lena's heart fluttered with both awe and uncertainty. She clutched her satchel filled with human tools and notes, wondering how she would find her place in this alien wonder. A figure approached through the glowing Mysterian, his robes trailing like stardust. He knelt and offered his hand. Lena hesitated only for a moment before letting him lift her gently to her feet. They walked side by side along polished pathways, the prince pointing out marble benches that hovered without support, and fountains that sang in harmonic tones. Lena breathed in deep, reminding herself that she was more than a visitor. She carried the future of two worlds within her. Inside the grand palace, corridors stretched like ribbons of light. Each hallway was lined with murals woven from living vines, depicting the history of the Alari people. Lena pressed her palm to one mural, feeling the hum of its life pulse beneath her fingers. She thought of Earth's history, its wars and triumphs, and marveled at how peaceful this place felt. Still, unfamiliar floors made her careful of each step, as though she might disturb a hidden spell. Arian guided her to a private chamber, where soft cushions and flowing drapes created a cozy alcove. Delicate lanterns hung overhead, their glow shifting from rose to pearl. Lena sank onto a cushion, the fabric cool against her skin. She felt vulnerable, so far from home, carrying a child whose heritage spanned 2 galaxies. She closed her eyes, steadying her breath, and allowed Arian's presence to calm her thoughts. He sat beside her, his voice gentle. "These halls can feel endless," he said, "but I remember the path like I remember my own heartbeat." He told her about childhood nights spent chasing starlight with his sister, about the secret library where the softest moonlight met the turning pages. Lena listened, picturing a small boy with curious eyes, learning of worlds beyond his own. When Aran described the palace gardens, Lena smiled. It had taken her there earlier, through a hidden gate in the marble wall. Their bioluminescent blooms curled around ancient trees, and soft streams whispered secrets. Lena had rested against the trunk of a silver wood, its bark warm as if welcoming a friend. She remembered how Arian had brushed stray hair from her face and promised that their child would know the beauty of both worlds. In that moment by the alcove's lantern light, Lena shared her own memories of Earth's forests, the way dew caught on spiderwebs at dawn, and how the sun filtered through tall pines. Arian's eyes softened as he listened, as though he could feel the cooling mist and hear the rustle of leaves. Lena realized that their worlds were not so different. Both held wonders that inspired childlike delight. Dinner arrived on floating platters of warmed crystal. Small orbs of nourishing sustenance hovered before her. Lena frowned at first, uncertain how to eat without utensils. Arian chuckled and guided a spoon-shaped shard toward her lips. "Taste," he encouraged, and Lena savored the gentle sweetness balanced with subtle spice. She realized that learning another culture meant tasting its heart as well as its customs. After dinner, Arian took Lena's hand and led her to a balcony. Overlooking the city, night had fallen, and twin moons cast silver trails across the lavender towers. Lights blinked in distant windows, and the soft hum of distant starships drifted on the breeze. Lena leaned into Arian's warmth, her hand resting on her belly. "I worry about our child," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "Will they belong?" Arian pressed his forehead to hers. "They will belong," he said. "They carry both our hearts. I will protect that gift with my life." His words settled in her chest like a promise. Lena closed her eyes and let the peace of this strange new world fill her. Though she missed home, she knew that together they would build a place where their hybrid child could feel loved and safe on Elara Prime and beyond. In the hushed glow of the Temple of Vines, Lena walked between tall columns wrapped in living greenery. Alari priestesses in flowing white robes guided her toward an open courtyard, where soft morning light filtered through woven leaves. The air smelled of jasmine and fresh rain. Lena's heart pounded with equal parts wonder and nervousness. She had heard of Alari prenatal rituals, but experiencing one made her feel both honored and exposed. The priestess's gentle nods welcomed her, and Lena steadied her breath. ready to embrace this ancient ceremony for her hybrid child at the courtyard's center. A stone platform rose like a small hill, its surface smooth and cool under Lena's bare feet. The priestesses formed a circle around her, their voices lifting in a crystalline song that seemed to echo the rhythms of the world itself. Lena closed her eyes, letting the melody wash over her. She felt the notes swirl like petals on a gentle breeze, lifting her worries. One priestess approached with a garland of silver-green vines. She placed it around Lena's shoulders, and the vines glowed softly, as if recognizing the life growing within her. Lena opened her eyes to see the vines shift and coil around her belly in delicate patterns. Promise of protection, she reached out to touch one tender offshoot, marveling at its warmth. The priestess smiled and whispered words in the Alari tongue. Though Lena did not understand every syllable, she sensed the meaning: acceptance, unity, hope. Tears pricked her eyes as she remembered how far she had come from Earth's busy labs to this sacred place where two cultures joined to celebrate new life. When the song ended, the priestesses stepped back and released small motes of light. From their palms, lights drifted around Lena like fireflies, settling on the vines in gentle sparks. Lena felt a surge of love so fierce it brought her to her knees. She pressed her hands to her belly, imagining her child's tiny heartbeat echoing the light's soft glow. A single tear traced down her cheek as she whispered, "I promise to protect you, my child." The motes shimmered once, then vanished. As if accepting her vow, Arian knelt before her, concern etched in his gentle features. He brushed a lock of hair from Lena's face, his fingertips warm against her skin. "I feared this moment," he admitted softly. "I feared that our child's birth would come with danger, political threats, prejudice, even war." His voice trembled. Lena looked into his indigo eyes and saw the weight of his responsibilities. A future king torn between duty and his deepest love. She placed her hand over his, letting his worries flow into her steady presence. Standing, Lena offered Arian a calm smile. "Our child will know love, not fear," she said. "Their life will join to people's, not divide them." She spoke plainly, her words carrying the clarity of human resolve. Arian's shoulders relaxed as he listened. He drew Lena into his arms, and she rested her head against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. In that embrace, cultures and galaxies seemed to blur. Only two souls stood together, ready to face whatever lay ahead. After the ceremony, Lena and Arian walked through the temple gardens, where bioluminescent petals drifted on calm pools. She leaned into him, her hands still resting on her belly. "I felt their spirit in the vines," she said, voice soft. "They are already a bridge between our worlds." Arian smiled, lifting a glowing blossom and tucking it into Lena's hair. The simple gesture warmed her more than any royal decree. Together, they watched the moon rise over Alara Prime, its pale light promising new beginnings. In the gentle night, Lena knew that love human and Alari would guide them all. Lena entered the Grand Council Hall with steady steps, her heart fluttering like a captive bird. Tall pillars of white quartz rose on either side, and banners of the Alari Imperium hung from the ceiling. As she walked past the seated nobles, she sensed the hush that fell over the room. Soft murmurs rippled through the benches as though her presence disturbed a quiet spell. Lena pressed her hand lightly to her belly, feeling the gentle life within her and drawing strength from its steady pulse. She took her place beside Arian at the dais, where he stood in robes of midnight blue, trimmed with silver. The prince offered her a reassuring smile, but she saw the tension in his jaw. Around them, council members exchanged polite nods but avoided meeting their eyes. Lena felt the weight of invisible stares. She imagined them as thin, icy threads that tugged at her. Confidence. She straightened her shoulders and met each glance with quiet dignity. Determined not to shrink from her rightful place, the council elder, a stern Alari with hair spun of starlight, rose to speak. His voice held respect for the crown but barely concealed doubt as he announced the morning's agenda. Lena watched Arian's hand tighten on the ceremonial staff at his side. When whispers arose about royal bloodlines and purity, Lena felt her breath catch. She pictured her child small, curious, with skin that would carry both her warmth and Ilari's grace. Oh, she would not let prejudice dim that promise. After the elder finished, Arian stepped forward, his posture regal yet warm. His voice rang. "Clear and calm, our child will be heir to both my throne and Lena's homeworld," he declared in the common tongue. "This union honors all who value peace and progress."
Late.
Lena felt a rush of relief as silence fell. Then one by one, the nobles rose from their seats. Some bowed deeply in acceptance, others hesitated before inclining their heads. Lena caught a few hopeful smiles. In that moment, she believed change was possible. A court musician began to play soft notes on a stringed instrument. An attendant released white doves into the stained glass windows' colored light. The birds fluttered into the sky above the dais, symbolizing unity between earth and stars. Lena watched them soar, each wing beat a reminder of freedom from old fears. Tears welled in her eyes, not of fear now, but of joy. She slipped her hand into Arian's, and he squeezed gently. Sharing her wonder, as the ceremony ended, nobles approached Lena with cautious kindness. One offered her a woven shawl, dyed in earth's green and Ilara's violetta, gift of friendship. Another knelt briefly and pressed his forehead to the floor, pledging loyalty to the new royal family. Lena accepted each gesture with grace, her simple thank you carrying more power than any royal decree. She felt warmth spread through her chest, knowing that hearts could open when guided by honesty and love. Later, under the glowing arches of the palace corridor, Arian guided Lena by the hand. She rested her head against his shoulder and whispered, "I felt them with me today. Every doubt I faced, our child faced too." Arian stroked her hair and answered softly, "They carry our courage." Together they walked toward the nursery chambers, their steps echoing in harmony, though storms of doubt might yet blow across Alara Prime. Their unity and the life growing within Lena would stand as a beacon against the darkness. Under the glow of floating lanterns, the grand festival of dual stars began in the palace gardens. Lena stepped onto a pathway lined with silvery lanterns that drifted like glowing petals. The air hummed with laughter and music. Families from Earth and Alara Prime mingled beneath arches woven from bioluminescent vines. Together they celebrated the promise of Lena's child, whose birth would unite two worlds. Lena felt a thrill of pride as she joined the procession, hand in hand with Arien. Children in colorful robes danced around a marble fountain that sang soft harmonies. Their laughter echoed like wind chimes among the trees. Lena knelt to greet a human child, offering her a woven bracelet of violet and green threads. She felt the child's innocent joy, imagining her own baby at that age, curious, bright, free to embrace both cultures. Lena gently tied the bracelet around her wrist, feeling warmth in the simple gift. As twilight deepened, a parade of dancers moved through the gardens. Ilari performers floated on hidden currents, their silken garments shimmering with stardust patterns. Human musicians walked beside them, playing earthy drums and soft flutes.
Ow.
The two styles blended into a harmonious celebration. Lena watched, mesmerized by the unity of movement and sound. She felt tears of happiness prick her eyes, knowing that such beauty could only come when two peoples chose friendship instead of fear. A stage of polished crystal held the evening's speeches. Arian stood before a gathered crowd, his robes reflecting lantern light. Lena stood beside him, her glow of pregnancy clear in the soft gown designed to honor both her home world and his. When Arian spoke of hope and unity, the crowd fell silent. His words painted a future where their child would grow up knowing Earth's forests and Alara's violet skies. Learning from both legacies, Lena stepped forward and spoke in the common tongue, her voice tender but confident. She told the story of her first moments on Alara Prime, how Arian's promise in the market had given her courage to face the unknown. She spoke of the prenatal rituals that had woven her child's spirit into the living vines. And she spoke of her own memories from Earth's, the scent of pine needles after rain and the rush of waves against a rocky shore. Her words painted pictures that bridged galaxies, and the audience saw their world in her memories. After her speech, attendants released a swarm of glowing butterflies made from delicate crystal. They fluttered into the night sky, drifting toward the palace towers. Each butterfly carried a tiny note of blessing written by guests, wishes of peace, health, and love for the unborn child. Lena watched them rise, each one a silent prayer. She pressed her hand to her belly, imagining her child's heartbeat echoing the flutter of crystal wings. As the festival wound down, lanterns descended to rest on gentle streams. Lena and Arian walked along the water's edge, the lantern's reflections dancing on the surface like distant stars. Arian wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. "Today I saw hearts open," he whispered. "Our child already carries the love of two peoples." Lena nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "And I saw the power of hope," she replied. Together they stood in the soft glow, believing that love could light even the deepest darkness. Their festival had shown that when cultures embrace each other, the future can shine brighter than any star. In the quiet glow of twin moons, Lena awakened to gentle ripples of light filtering through the nursery windows. Her breath came in soft waves as she pressed a hand to her belly, feeling the first stirrings of labor. Arian sat beside her on a low bench, his expression tense but loving, fingertips brushing the curve of her shoulder. He offered her a cup of warm herbal infusion gathered from Earth's chamomile and Alara's silver-leaf petals. Lena sipped gratefully, savoring the calm warmth in her chest as the world outside held its breath for their child's arrival. Soon, soft signals sounded through the palace corridors, a call only meant for the royal family. Arian rose and wrapped a silken shawl around Lena's shoulders. His voice trembled as he guided her along the moonlit hall, each step gentle and measured. In the birthing chamber, lanterns glowed in pale blues and greens, and mist drifted lazily. Around a sleek stone birth bed, carved with entwined vines and stardust motifs, Lena lay back, her legs cradled by soft cushions, and inhaled the quiet magic that filled the room. Priestesses in flowing robes entered next, their faces serene. They placed cooling lotus leaves on Lena's forehead and hands and sang a lullaby that sounded like distant rain. Lena closed her eyes, letting the melody wash through her, steadying her heartbeat. Each note felt like a promise: strength for the mother, peace for the child, unity for two worlds. Arian knelt beside the bed, whispering encouragement. He brushed a strand of hair from Lena's face, his indigo eyes reflecting moonlight and love. As labor's first wave gripped her, Lena clenched the soft covers and pressed her cheek against cool stone. Pain came in pulses, but each brought her closer to their child. She focused on Arian's calm presence, his hand in hers, his steady breathing, the warmth of his palm against her skin. He murmured her name, told her how brave she was, how their child would soon know the beauty of two worlds through her courage. Lena nodded between breaths, drawing strength from his words as if they were lifelines. Hours passed in a dance of pain and relief. The nurse priestesses applied healing balms of Earth's lavender and Alara's moonvine to ease Lena's skin. Arian stood at her side, offering water and cool cloths, never leaving her alone for a moment. With each contraction, Lena imagined their child's first cry, a sound that would unite their peoples. As the final wave approached, she summoned every ounce of resolve, guided by Arian's gentle command to breathe and push. Then, in a flash of pain that melted into rapture, their child emerged into the soft mist. A single cry echoed part human warmth, part Alari resonance. Lena's tears flowed freely as she reached out, her hands trembling with joy. When their baby was placed on her chest, she felt a spark of light spread through her soul. The child's skin held a gentle shimmer of Alari silver and human warmth, and tiny fingers curled around Lena's hand. Arian leaned close, his smile radiant as he kissed Lena's temple and whispered, "Welcome, my love. Welcome, our child." In that sacred chamber under twin moons, mother, father, and child lay entwined in a cradle of peace. Murmur of prayer rose from the priestesses, each word a blessing for their future. Lena pressed her cheek to her baby's soft head, breathing in the mingled scent of lavender and moonvine. Arian wrapped them both in a silken blanket woven with Earth's green and Alara's violet threads. In the gentle glow, Lena felt every fear dissolve, placed by a love deeper than the vastest night sky love that would guide their family in two worlds into a new dawn. In the soft morning light, the palace throne room gleamed like polished pearl. Lena, still wrapped in a blanket of Earth's green and Illyra's violet threads, stood beside Prince Ariane at the raised dais. Their newborn child, swaddled in the tapestry of stardust patterns, rested in Lena's arms. All around them, nobles and citizens gathered in hushed admiration. The air trembled with expectancy as the people of two worlds prepared to witness the first act of a new era. Ariane swept back his shoulders and raised his free hand in a welcoming gesture. His voice, warm and steady, filled the hall. Today, we honor not only a child but a promise that humanity and the Alari Imperium will walk together into the future. His words echoed in every corner, weaving hope through soaring arches. Lena met his gaze, and he nodded slightly, inviting her to speak. Lena stepped forward, her heart pulsing with pride and gentle awe. Through the common tongue, she spoke of her journey from the crowded markets of the Aurora Nexus to the sacred halls of Alara Prime. She described how love had guided her through fear, how Ariane's trust had become her strength, and how their child embodied the best of both cultures. Her voice trembled only once, and a single tear of joy rolled down her cheek. In that moment, barriers fell away. Every listener felt the warmth of her words, and a collective sigh of wonder swept through the crowd. After her speech, Ariane lifted the child high above the dais. Sunlight streaming through stained glass windows caught in the baby's silver gold hair, creating a halo of light. Gasps of delight rose from the assembly. Some bowed their heads in gratitude. Others whispered blessings. Lena reached out to touch Ariane's arm, feeling his steady warmth. Together, they presented their child heir to two worlds, to the people who would guide and protect this life. As the ceremony concluded, bands playing gentle melodies led the royal family toward the palace gardens. Lanterns drifted overhead, their glow like floating stars. Families from both worlds lined the path, offering gifts of woven garlands, small crystals, and delicate flowers that shimmered in pale light. Lena accepted each gift with heartfelt thank yous, her voice soft but full of emotion. Around her, strangers became friends in a tapestry of goodwill and wonder. In a quiet alcove of the garden, Ariane knelt beside Lena and their child. He brushed a lock of hair from the baby's forehead and whispered, "You are the bridge we dreamed of." Lena rested her head on his shoulder, her hand cradling their child close. The three of them formed a perfect picture of unity. Mother, father, and child, bound by love that transcended star systems. Later, when the crowds dispersed, and twilight painted the sky in lavender hues, Lena and Ariane walked hand in hand along a winding path of marble and vines. Their child slept peacefully in Lena's arms. Above them, twin moons rose, their soft light mingling with lantern glow. Ariane paused beneath a silverwood tree and knelt once more, placing both hands on the path. He invited Lena to stand before him, and together they planted a young sapling, its leaves silver and green in the soil. "For life," Ariane said, his voice low. Lena nodded, tears of hope shining in her eyes. They watered the sapling with water, blessed by the priestesses earlier that day. As droplets touched the roots, a faint hum of life arose from the ground. Lena imagined that hum as the heartbeat of their child, growing strong and steady. "Our child will walk under this tree," she whispered, "and someday they will stand here and remember this moment." Ariane smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. "And they will know that love planted the roots of peace." Under the silver woods, budding branches, the young family lingered until the stars appeared. Lena felt a calm joy settle in her chest. She thought of Earth's oceans and Alara's lavender skies, of two peoples learning to trust one another. Above all, she knew that their child hybrid and whole would carry forward a legacy of unity. Hand in hand, Lena and Ariane stepped back toward the palace, the sapling's leaves whispering in the gentle night breeze. "Grow," they seemed to say, "and let your roots bind worlds together."